Podcast. I'm Bill Zanowitz,
And I'm Steve Morey.
and we are your hairy heavy homos that talk about comic books, but you don't have to be a hairy heavy homo to listen in or possibly stream in. You may have been expecting 3 windows. There's only 2 tonight. We fully expected Caleb would be joining us tonight, but unfortunately, because of a work situation, he's not going to get home in enough time to jump on the call with us. So next time, we've all been there, you know.
Yeah.
We've all been
Sadly, we were all kind of planning on being here, but work happens, traffic happens, driving happens.
And I think it's only been like 10 days since we've been together. Is that right? Or
It has, because it's been about just a little over a week because
it was last Wednesday we were together. That's right.
Last Wednesday.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's pretty cool. We get two in just a little over a week. But this puts us back on our normal schedule.
Yeah.
So we should be pretty good.
Yeah, and we've stuck, I want to say, for the last 4 years on the bi-monthly schedule.
Or bi-weekly?
Pretty good. No, bi-monthly. Twice monthly. Comic books mess you up. The correct use of bi-monthly is twice monthly.
Okay. Yeah, I can never get that, because I know there's also the difference between biannually and semi-annually.
Yeah. So effectively, what we call in comics bi-weekly is actually bi-monthly, in at least in magazine lingo. So who cares?
Which is cool. I am being attacked by dogs over here. These dogs they've excitedly run upstairs. So
they
happy.
Didn't want to go outside?
They did. They went outside, and now they're back up here, and they're like, "We missed you so much. We're so happy that you're sitting in the same place we left you."
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So we haven't had much news on the comic front. They did announce the Midnight Universe from Marvel today. You read the article. I didn't. I just skipped it. So why don't you tell us?
Well, there's not much to say just yet. We're still early days. So really they don't have a lot of information about it. And sorry for the dog noises. So basically Marvel this fall is going to be launching a new universe, whatever that means, whether that's just sort of like kind of like the Ultimate Universe, where there's a series of books that are all interconnected, but separate and distinct from the standard Marvel universe of comics. Or if this is going to be something where it's recognizable, maybe just other interpretations and new interpretations of characters that we're familiar with, but in a darker context. And that kind of leads me to think that maybe this has, we'll see Darkhold stuff, we'll see Midnight Suns, we'll see, or that kind of, or Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, that kind of darker side.
They may just be absolutely dark versions of.
Yeah, it could be, because I think that's is interesting. In the blurb that became available, it was in a universe where darkness has won. So to me, that's kind of the absolute universe where Darkseid has essentially become the foundation of that universe. Although of course we have heroes who are shining through that darkness, but generally evil is kind of the base building block. But it could be very much like that, just patterned after the DC absolute universe. And so we'll see darker versions of Captain America and the X-Men and all that. Or it could be just Midnight Suns and horror related stuff, or it could be something brand new. It could be all new characters, all new types of storytelling. Maybe it's not superhero related at all. Maybe there's no capes and spandex. Maybe we're just looking at a more horror related side of Marvel storytelling. So we'll see. Or it could just be Morbius, just nothing but Morbius, morbing out.
Or it just could be like Azrael Abyss in that old Saturday Night Live skit, a most macabre water pop.
Or thinking of maybe Kids in the Hall.
Macabre X-Men.
Or Kids in the Hall with Hecubus. Do not avoid the hounds of hell. Do not avoid. Yep.
So that seemed to be the only, kind of like newsflash article that came out
Yeah.
Over the past 8 days. I guess I'm just not used
I
to
know.
doing
So
this
quick,
like
so quick.
so
Well,
quickly back to back around each other.
you know,
But
and I
yeah, go ahead.
we're going to get more information. I think it, you know, because again, it's just the
I
initial
hope we don't
announcement. Oh, it just drops
just
like
drop
we,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
just drop it.
September rolls around and it's like, oh, there's all these new books. Or
Yeah.
October, probably. I mean, fall, I'm sure they're
They'll
putting it in
probably
October.
be, they'll probably do very well in blind bag sales,
Mm-hmm.
most macabre blind bag.
Most macabre variants available
Yeah.
at your local comic shop.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I'm never really comfortable when one company is, at least from the outset here, it looks like they're taking their cues from another, you know, but
Yeah.
they got to do something, I mean, they're getting killed in sales. I mean,
Mm,
there are many weeks where there isn't even a Marvel book in the top 10. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Be
Well, I
interesting.
mean,
It'll be interesting.
it is an interesting time, and I think right before the show we were just kind of talking about how this is similar to what we've been seeing or what we saw in the 90s.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and,
where you did have Image, for a brief time was the number 2 publisher.
right.
DC was dropped to number 3 for, I want to say, like about a year,
Hmm.
maybe, when you factored in all sales. And there were various projects at both DC and Marvel that were very Image-esque.
Right.
I think of, a book that Marvel had, which was Night Watch, and a book that DC had, which was another reinterpretation of Manhunter. And those
Hmm.
books both were desperate to be Spawn, absolutely desperate to be Spawn. The superhero teams,
Hmm.
you had Extreme Justice on DC's end, you had Forceworks on Marvel's. They were
Right.
very
Force
extreme
works.
Image, stances, and you know, half the book being full page spread, half the book being splash pages, so
Right.
I don't think that's ever really healthy. Um, or I shouldn't say that. I should say that it's probably not a healthy sign
No.
of the
No.
understanding. If I want Image, again, I wasn't really reading comics consistently then, but if I want an Image book, I'll go to Image.
Yeah. And that's you know,
If it's
honestly, that's what we were getting. And even like some of the other like big annual things that DC was known for. What
yeah,
was the it was where they tried to come out with all new characters. We want all new young extreme
Bloodlines.
characters, bloodlines, where you had you know, these alien creatures that were, you know, just stabbing people with their throat
Mhm.
syringes and turning them into you know, metas. Um, every single one of those was done in a way that this was going to set up the new sort of like cool alternative street character who's got all these powers, but there's, you know, it's a little bit darker and more serious. And that I think just fell flat. I mean, there are obviously Manhunter came out of that. And there were a
No,
couple other
Manhunter
characters.
was
Oh,
earlier than that. Manhunter,
well,
the
I thought he
big
got his
breakout,
powers that way.
the big breakout character from that was Hitman.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Hitman.
Yeah,
Hitman
yeah.
came out of that. And that again, but that
But
went on to
some
have
of
a
the
very
others, like,
different.
they
Yeah.
had like all this pegged on Anima. Anima was going to be this breakout, huge female character, and I don't even think
Yep.
her book lasted 7 or 8 issues.
Nope.
Yeah,
And but I mean, Hitman
Gunfire.
went on
Gunfire was another one from that.
with a Y, right? Gunfire.
No, no, no. It was just Gunfire.
Oh no. But yeah, no, that's too bad. But hopefully this one is a more unique take on
Yeah,
the concept. But we're who knows? It could be a copy. It could be something brand new.
yeah. And it's
The
a little
details are limited.
strange, that Marvel really hasn't have had a very good foothold in horror since the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
where they kind of ruled, they had that little kingdom, and those books were selling like crazy for a time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think Tomb of Dracula was like the number 2 book for in at least 2 years behind ASM. So,
Yeah.
and then by the end of the 70s, it just kind of petered out. But also it was like there was a resurgence for Famous Monsters of Filmland. Then that was selling very well, and it was almost like I have a theory about this, that I think cable, since it predated VCRs being available on a mass basis, but you noticed when cable hit, that they would have like you'd have more horror choices then. You might have a super station showing something at midnight in the local station. And I think when it does get when it when the interest isn't as distilled as it was previously, and the interest is there's a lot more different ways. You're not just taking in whatever's being offered. You have options.
Right.
That's my theory about horror.
Well, I mean, we'll
and then also sci-fi just being so big because of Star Wars, had another factor too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, horror movies were kind of going the camp direction in the middle,
but also
70s.
with that,
but then you had the new slashers, you had
the new slashers, and you
Halloweens
also had the issue of the R rating too.
yeah.
So why do we have to figure it out?
Stuff. I don't. It is what it is. We'll find out. I think when everybody finds out, they'll probably announce a lot more. And
as it comes,
San Diego, usual, or
a lot
New
of
York,
this
because it'll be around that time.
Interest will be very dependent upon the creators involved, the properties involved. But it does feel absolutely derivative. At least just the vibe I got.
I mean, they had an Ultimate Universe, but then they decided that, most of it's going to go away. I'm like, why?
Yeah. Which is, I get that you would want to concentrate on one universe, but when you also think of like how, the book that influenced the Avengers film the most is the Ultimates.
Yeah.
It had a big effect, had a really big effect. And, you get into some conversations and some interviews, and, it's clear that some of these creators were kind of blindsided too. About them wrapping up so quickly.
Well, we'll see what happens with this one, and we'll find out more.
Ooh, I got that microphone on just to cough it. It was
good timing.
It sounded bad. Ooh, it sounded bad. So here we go, Steve. Chatter for a second.
Vamp. Oh, yeah. So, what we experienced collectively as a nation this past weekend was Free Comic Book Day. And on top of that, it was also, Comics Giveaway Day.
Yeah.
Which was Penguin's version of the same initiative. And I don't know about you, but I think with everything that was happening with Diamond over the past year and some change, I was kind of worried, what we would see this year for Free Comic Book Day, whether there would be like a really reduced selection, if you would have companies that just would decide not to do it or not be able to do it because of the cost involved and without having that extra support from having Diamond in their corner. But it seems like the slack was picked up pretty well between Lunar and Penguin Random House. I think they did a pretty good job. There was a good selection of books. We had a good selection of publishers that were up there. There was a lot.
Yep.
That I got to see.
I'm very sorry. I can barely talk right now.
Oh,
sorry about that. We'll see how this goes here. God, I feel like Tim
Heidecker, with his onion speech as what's his face? Oh boy,
this came out of nowhere here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is good radio.
Nothing but coughs.
Edit, but,
Thank you for tuning into
eventually maybe they
107.6,
calm
The
down,
Cough.
yeah. Maybe when you talk about your book, I might take a little break.
Oh, okay.
and get something. It sounded so disgusting. Get something down my throat. All right.
You know our audience. Oh boy.
So with Free Comic Book Day, again, historically, it has been the first weekend in May. It's been around since 2002. I have a very big soft spot for Free Comic Book Day because I was in law school when that was happening, and money was really tight. I put myself through school, and some of my entertainment on the weekends, because I always blocked off. I always had blinders on about Saturday being the day that I studied, and then Sunday, depending upon when it was, I watched football, and then it's when I got back into comics because I had stacks of comics that I had never read. Stacks. So, and again, talking about the economics, this was also a time where some of the local 5 and dime stores and dollar stores had 3-packs.
Yep.
In the middle there was always a Valiant, and half the time it was Turok #1. So like I must have like 25 copies of Turok #1. And that was an inexpensive form of entertainment. I went from the stockpile to that, and then eventually back into new comics. So the first one, there were 4 titles. It was Justice League Adventures, Ultimate Spider-Man, some kind of Tales of Jedi for Star Wars, and a Tomb Raider comic. And man, the Justice League and the Ultimate Spider-Man, I just kept rereading them, and I was like, all right, I got to spend some money on new comics. And that's where things kind of started for me again. So I have a very, very deep appreciation for what it did. It did what it was conceived to do in terms of me. The aim for that was to get people into the shops, to get new young readers, and also bring people back. And it did. So I always tend to make a big deal of it. I would usually go up to North Jersey, hit shops that I don't hit as frequently anymore since I moved to Central Jersey, and I always made a big day of it. This year I needed to stay closer to home for a little bit, so just hit 3 shops. But with those 3 shops, I was able to get every title but one. Yeah. And I know some people, tend to be very selective. Like, I may never read this. My argument is it's free. And if I'm not taking it out of a child's hands, I'm okay with it. So
make sure to smack that kid before they get their
give me
hands
that
on
pizza and taco. Yeah. Shut up. Stop crying, kid. Go tell your mother.
Yeah. It's and getting to go to a store, and of course I only hit up one store this year, and that was what I call my LCS, even though it's not local at all. So I just say my Charlotte store.
Yeah.
Getting to see the kids that came into this year. There were a lot of additional kids. A lot of kids came in with their parents. But as per usual, you have all the comics that are there identified as these are part of Free Comic Book Day. And, the kids are walking around taking stuff off the wall, thinking that that's all free too. Like, it's not the entire store is free. It is just these that say Free Comic Book Day on it, or Comics Giveaway Day. Everything else you do have to pay for. So do not, and so that's just the constant thing, that I think every store has to deal with. People who don't really understand the concept, they understand the word free. But when part of the reason to do this is not just to get people to come in and check out what might be happening that's new in comics and get them interested. It's also to encourage them to buy other things at the store, to actually
Yeah.
pick up some stuff that they may not have realized was out. Collections, graphic novels, statues, any kind of
And these are usually
comic related
coupled
things.
with sales that the store is offering at the time.
Exactly. Yeah, there's usually maybe a buy two get a third free for back issues, or 50% off on related things, and that's a good way of getting the free comic book day. Gets kids into the store, gets people generally into the store, for with the promise of free preview books, or free reprints and things like that. But then also the hope is to keep them so that they're actually patronizing the store and
Mhm.
buying some stuff, which I did. I actually did buy my normal comics, my normal pull box, but also they had gotten in some hardcover copies of Brian K. Vaughan's Spectators, which was collected just recently, and this beautiful volume right here. So I can't wait to finally read the whole thing in this format. So.
I have some of my free comic book day purchase acquisitions are part of my Geek Gets, so
Oh, awesome!
I'm going to hold off on that. So we're talking about the books. Why don't we show them off? And like I said, I got everyone except for one, which was the Sumerian, which is I don't know what I'm talking about in the past tense. It's Conan. It's using the public domain elements.
Mm-hmm.
That one, it just was not available at any of the shops that I went to, and from what I'm understanding, most of the stores that did get that in were on the West Coast.
Mm.
So it just could have been like late printing distribution, and hopefully be able to type it in through DCBS at some point and pay $1. Because like when you get that close to everything, like if I was missing, I think there were 46 titles available. Does that sound right? 46
sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was something like I had 35, I'd be like, oh, 10 I don't have. When you're that close to having all of them, yeah, you kind of want it more. And I'm sure if Caleb were here, he'd just be relentlessly entertained that I'm frustrated that I didn't get a Conan book.
Yes. Well, we'll keep an eye out. Well, I know we'll keep an eye out for that Sumerian book, and I'm, a lot of times, depending on the store, sometimes stores, completely sell out. Well, I mean, they're free, but they're completely wiped out from the free comic book day issues, and other times, they end up with a bunch that people didn't pick up, and so those just kind of become giveaways at the store for the rest of the year. Which is nice, so there's still something free for people who either didn't know about it or, just weren't able to pick up everything they wanted.
Yeah. And when you're speaking of that, sometimes people will use, other free stock that they had. Very recently was Superman Day, and some shops actually just held off on the Superman books and included them as part of free comic book day, or supplemented them, had them, and didn't exhaust that. When you're talking about that scenario, I remember, like, I want to say the 4th free comic book day, and the store, it's since closed, but it was my local comic shop at the time, and they had blown through everything, and they've the store owner was so happy he found an unopened box of Betty and Veronica number 100, so at least the kids could have something. We're still coming into the store even though it was exhausted. And also, this is something we need to reiterate to people. It says free comic book day, but it's a minimal expense per book, but it compounds. The shops, they do pay for these books,
right? They're not free to them. It's just free to the people coming in. But and a lot of stores will either limit them per customer, so maybe like 3 per customer, that kind of thing, or will, and this is something I don't necessarily agree with, because I don't think it's in the spirit of it, but some will say you can get this book free if you buy a certain amount, or you spend $5 or spend $10.
Okay, let's not act like that was widespread.
No, it was not.
It was not. It was speculator bullshit you probably would have seen in the 90s.
Absolutely. And what was that one book?
Yeah.
what was that book? And we'll throw it up because we both
We'll
got a
throw it
copy
up.
of
We
it.
both got it.
It was Dungeon Crawler
Dungeon Crawler
Carl
Carl.
number 0.
I have to say, I am not the target audience for this.
I read the books. I love the books. The books are great. I think the first book is a difficult entry book for people who are not versed in gaming, because it is very much deeply obviously inspired, but also even the language, the function of the plot is very set around the idea of a role-playing game, or a tabletop action game. So this is good. This is kind of like it's part of the manga that's coming out, the new comic series that's going to be released. So it's a good sort of intro taste to that. But I was shocked that there were stores that were requiring people to purchase
there was one
before
Steve,
they could get this.
Let's put that forward. We have reporting on one where that happened.
One particular, but this was very quickly snatched up by a lot of speculators and put on eBay.
And it was also kind of exacerbated that there was a purchase version that you could get the week before, where the cover was an homage to Absolute Batman #1. Those are like impossible to find now. There were also virgin variants of this that were just randomly placed in there, which really hasn't been like a mainstay of Free Comic Book Day. You haven't seen that too much. I think the closest that I remember was that Marvel had an Inhumans book, and there was an English language version and a Spanish language version of that. That's the only time I can remember there being like a variant. In the very similarly put together Comic Book Day, you would get variants, and that was all like purchase stuff. Those based more on Record Store Day than Free Comic Book Day.
So I do recall All In.
Crazy. It's just crazy.
I think was it All In 0 or All In #1? It might have been All In 1, preceding DCKO. That one did have a variant cover. It was the metallic foil cover, but it was not free. It was $5.99, I think, for that book. So like that sometimes happens, where they'll have like a priced version of the book. Image does this with their Energon, the Energon Universe specials. They have the Free Comic Book Day version, and then they also have a the cover price $3.99 version that is then made available otherwise. So I made the mistake the first time I saw one of purchasing the Energon Universe issue, the special issue, not realizing it was the exact same thing as the Free Comic Book Day issue. So they got my money, whatever. Supporting that poor Robert Kirkman, he's just a struggling artist and all.
All right, so I will go through my pile, and then if it lands on a book that you got and want to talk about, then we'll just stop for a little bit, but just try to go through this. I have a few that I want to talk about that I did read and enjoyed, or in 2 cases did not. So we can go through here. One of DC's offerings, the all ages Aquamanity. There's going to be a graphic novel based on this character. This was one that I think you got, Steve, which was the King Spot Spotlight, which had a lot of Mark Spears content, Mark Spears Monsters content.
Gotta enjoy. Yep.
Keen Spot also had Toy Box, which was for some of their material that was for a younger audience. And since we've been talking about the 90s a lot, look what it also is. It's a flip cover. Okay. Franchises are not strangers to Free Comic Book Day. So from Udon, there's Mega Man Showdown Special, #1. I think you got this one, the Flux House double feature, Fort Psycho and Mind Management.
Mind Management. Yeah, I mean, anytime that I see anything by Matt Kint, I have to grab it. And this is put out by Oni Press. Mind Management, you gotta love. Fort Psycho, excellent stuff.
Okay. From Dynamite, Disney Stitch #1. Oh, that's terrible that I'm showing it at that angle. Disney Stitch #1, the Disney property, licensed book. Udon #0, Street Fighter Forever. And also from Dynamite, there's a comic adaptation of the Supernatural series.
Saw that. I did not pick that up. I will probably be picking that up if I see a copy on the wall. The interesting, I do like the fact that we're still seeing, and that was another thing with the collapse of Diamond, whether we would have publishers with more than one free book, because in this kind of situation, you're thinking, they might just have the one, and that'll be it. It'll be a sampler or something like that. But there were several that had multiple books out this year.
Yep. And one of those that had multiple books, and they had a really nice variation on how they did this, was Bad Cave. And I have the Flash Gordon and also the Terabytes #1. Something that's really cool. These are black and white.
Yeah.
Black and white reprints of those first issues. Pretty cool. Archie from the second year has been a mainstay of Free Comic Book Day. This year was no different. You have World of Archie.
Yeah.
On Free Comic Book Day version there. From Vault, The Name She Lost, Inanna. Some kind of sword and sorcery thing going there.
Interesting.
From Hard Case, Gun Honey, Doubles Down. Yeah, there are lots of all ages, but there's also some mature stuff going on here.
Those crime comics from Titan Press.
Yep. This is a comic based on a 1980s TV property. So we did have through AMP Publishing the return of the Greatest American Hero.
That's surprising. When I saw that, I was like, really? Well, that's interesting.
And one really interesting thing is I just breezed through it. I didn't really read it. It does take place. It doesn't. It takes place in the current day, and time has marched on as it normally would. So, so Ralph here is in his 70s, and also William Catt was involved in the plot.
Interesting. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he definitely had his enthusiastic participation in it. He's not credited apart from a special thanks, but he was very happy to see that. You had mentioned this earlier. Free Comic Book Day, Energon Universe 2026 special.
Yeah. So that is one that they are going to be printing again with a cover price. So you will see that at your local shop. If you missed it, Free Comic Book Day, as a hint, please take a look and see if your store has any free copies left that they're willing to give you.
Oh, I have one for you. I have one for you.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just saying in general for anybody, because I've made that mistake myself, thinking I did not pick it up, but I had picked up for Free Comic
Day.
And then
well, if you
purchased it afterwards.
If you need the free version, I have a version. I have an issue for you. The future is bleep. Annual.
The future is bleeped.
Yeah, this is one I know that you picked up.
Oh yeah, and it's got activities in it and everything.
Okay, so I'm almost through the Free Comic Book Day stuff here. This is Conan Tides of the Tyrant King from Titan.
Yeah,
the actual legal Conan book.
Legal Conan book
from AWA. We have the Ultimate Oz Universe compilation. And then the remainders of the Free Comic Book Day, except for one, are DC that I have here. Next Level, which previews 3 of the books that recently came out. Lobo, Batwoman, which we talked about on the show, and Deathstroke. Have the reprint of DC versus Sonic the Hedgehog. We also had a reprint of the first issue of The Nice House on the Lake to represent DC Vertigo. And this book was an absolute joy. And this was a very secret, this was a book that the stores, I believe, got for free. It was not solicited. This is Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight comic book tie-in, which is a tie-in to a video game that is coming out on May 22nd.
Yeah.
And this is the most clever homage in Lego form to The Dark Knight. One little tip of the hat to The Killing Joke. This was so clever and enjoyable. I absolutely love this. I absolutely love this. And you can't read it without the Will Arnett voice going in. Okay, so those were the free comic book day. Oh, I did have one more, and the reason this wasn't in the pile is because this is shaped a little differently. From Manga Classics, you have the beginning of the Journey to the West manga in that little form. So,
yeah,
bunch of books, and thank you DCBS for these. Is so good. Love these holders on a temporary basis.
They are great.
Yep,
those holders are great.
Okay, so just give me a second. Just balancing something there. So Steve had mentioned it was also I keep forgetting the name of this comics giveaway day, which were the Penguin Random House distributed books. Free Comic Book Day was the books from Universal, who now has the Free Comic Book Day IP, and also the books from Lunar. So some stuff, some changes here. So right on top here, we have the Marvel books, Comics Giveaway Day, Amazing Spider-Man, Queen in Black, and Avengers Armageddon plus X-Men. Okay. The Amazing Spider-Man story was fun. It was self-contained. It's a bit of a preview. There's a lot of lead up to ASM 1000 coming up. So there's these a lot of the tie-ins that are in the regular book going up are done in ones, from what I understand, and this is kind of in that spirit. So that wasn't such a problem. If I were a new reader reading either the Queen in Black or the Armageddon or the X-Men stories, I would have been hopelessly lost without without 50 years of reading comic books behind me. Fail. I would say that was a fail. Yeah. There would have been better ways to bring people in. Something that I've almost had like fights with Caleb about in the past was that I don't think it's worth the effort to try to get very young readers into comics anymore. I just don't think that playing field is there. I think the introductions of the characters are much better suited for them through animation or through video games, things like that. It's getting the kid that's like 12 to 14 years old into reading comics. To me, that's where the emphasis should be. And no, just would not have worked. The Nickelodeon Avatar Legends and Minecraft. So that can't be the title. Comics Giveaway Day 2026. That's what it's called. It's one of Dark Horse's giveaways here. This is another manga. This is Blue Lock. That's from Kodansha.
Okay, Kodansha.
Okay, another manga. In this instance, this is licensed stuff. Disney Stitch.
Oh,
Comics Day 2 Stitch books.
Is that also by Dark Horse, or is that by?
No, this is by Tokyo Pop.
Oh, okay.
From IDW, we have a reprint of the first issue of Lock and Key.
Yeah.
But here's the other Dark Horse book, which spotlighted licensed properties, Masters of the Universe and Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. From Boom, we have a flip book for all ages, Gem and the Holograms with My
Little Pony. Yeah. I actually have that. I have that original issue of Gem and the Holograms because when it was coming out, I was buying all of them. I loved that series.
Okay.
I think it was originally released at 2015, maybe 2014.
Yeah, maybe something like that. This is a preview of an upcoming graphic novel series from Penguin Random House, Mr. Magic. That series will be out in June 9th, and this is rated teen.
I did not see that in the store.
2 weeks ago, we talked about an Ignition Press book. This was their comics giveaway day, offering Minotaur, written by Cy Spurrier.
Ooh.
This I want to read. This sounds interesting. About 5 years ago, a government supercomputer triggered the singularity. Oh, this looks good. Okay.
Well, Cy Spurrier.
Okay.
Of course, he would probably say it's a Minotaur.
Yeah. The Minotaur.
The Minotaur.
Okay. This is from RCBH, Random House Kids. And this is their comic version of their popular pizza and taco series. I did read this, and I totally get why this is a big series. I totally get it.
Adorable.
Boom Studios, Power Rangers #0.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From Webtoon and Ink Pop, we have School Bus Graveyard.
Huh.
Yeah. And just continuing the horror-related offerings, also from Boom, Something is Killing the Children, Road to Slaughter. And from IDW, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Always popular. Always a popular one.
Okay, so, probably not the most sought-after property here, but looks pretty interesting. Another Penguin Random House book. This is The British Are Coming, about the start of the Revolutionary War in graphic novel form, fitting for our country's 250th anniversary. We have some more books that are geared toward the all ages bracket in comic abbreviations of graphic novels. The Last Kids on Earth and the Zombie Parade, and The Whole World of Mabel Mulligan. I do like the art on that, and that's from Dial. Another webtoon book, which this looks like it's mostly manga and manhwa, right?
Manhwa,
yeah. Okay. So webtoon Untold.
Yeah.
This was actually, from what I understand, a very popular book, and I get it, and it's a wonderful cover. Boom, Garfield. From Marvel and 20th Century Studios, we have Alien, Planet of the Apes, and Predator.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think the remainder of the books that I have in here are duplicates. So that's pretty much everything.
Cool.
Apart from the Sumerian.
The Sumerian, which we don't have. So let us know if you have a copy, if you were on the West Coast, or we're lucky enough to have somebody at your store get that.
And one thing I do say is I have always felt guilty about taking something for free and not availing myself from it. Every one of these books I will read.
Yeah,
I do that all the time. And there were some other offerings, like I said, that we had the Superman. There was an Image giveaway that was like the Batman Lego book that was released for Free Comic Book Day, but it wasn't bannered as that, or I forget what the name of it was. It's over there somewhere. Maybe it was one you got.
Deicidium.
White cover. Yeah.
Deicidium, which is one I picked up, and that's, again, it's all black and white on the interior, which is pretty cool. Except for the ads, but yeah. Ram V, Evan Cagle, Anand Arcade, Aditya Bidikar, and Tom Muller. So yeah, it's a good preview. And then, of course, I think there was another like Ashcan version of Warbird from Bad Idea. That was
the Warbird
in issue 0.
You also had like a smaller book.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So those came out a little bit. Those came out the Odin. Those come out a little bit in advance of Free Comic Book Day, but
again, probably held.
Made sense to distribute them on the same. I don't know if I can get to them. Oh yeah, I can. Look at me. I'm so awesome. May as well, show them without. Oh, there's my copy. Some of this is my copy of that. Some of the Superman Day. I didn't get all of them. There's still 2 I'm looking for. But the Superman Day that was the weekend before, concentrating naturally on Supergirl because of the upcoming movie. But,
absolutely.
Yep.
Just a few months away. Almost here.
Yep. Okay. Let me just put this down. So entertaining the folks there, Steve, if you would. I just want to make sure this doesn't fall.
I'll just tap dance over here.
And books fall. Okay. Bound to happen.
Womp womp.
All right. Well, if you can hit your comic book shop, I imagine that there are many that will still have some copies of this stuff, and it's a great way to discover new stuff. Can you think of a book that you like, honest to goodness, discovered through Free Comic Book Day? I can think of 2.
That's a good question. I don't know if I can.
One,
I mean, most of the stuff is
One was the stuff, and I'm talking about over time. One was the Stuff of Legend. I absolutely got my introduction to that, and the other one that I ended up getting everything based on it was Captain. What the hell was it called? Captain Gravity. Which was a like a Rocketeer type superhero, but he actually turned out to be an African American. And I think there were 2 series of that, and that was something I definitely discovered through Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, I don't think I did. I think what I've always gravitated towards are books that I was already anticipating, or books that are, part of a series that I already read. A lot of times, although the function of a lot of the preview, like a lot of these free books, is to act as a preview for upcoming titles. So sometimes you can either pick up the 0 issue or pick up the preview issue and find a couple things, but generally for me,
I'm so surprised by your response there, because you and Caleb are the more adventurous members of our trio in terms of finding new stuff, and that you're telling me that you're using the Free Comic Book Day to basically grab stuff that you're used to. That really surprises me.
I mean, there's the one thing that you have to that I always have to think about with Free Comic Book Day is that there are times where it's preview, so you sometimes don't get a book that really gives you a good taste. And it just depends. Different companies approach it very differently. Some of them are just sort of like you pick up the book and it's just ads, essentially. You get 2 pages of a story or a couple preview pages from an existing book. But most of it's just sort of like, hey, ads for upcoming books. But occasionally, if I'm already looking at what Free Comic Book Day has coming out, most likely I'm going to go for the books that I know I'm going to enjoy and read those, because I mean, I've got, just like you, I've got piles of unread Free Comic Book Day books that I've picked up over the years that kind of looked interesting and just haven't returned to. And interestingly enough, a lot of them, you don't really see a lot of those books always. The more adventurous titles, I don't always see them, actually on the shelves. Sometimes it's for a preview for a book that doesn't really last. So. No, what I do miss, years ago, Arcana, Archaea, one of Boom Studios, I think, one of their sister imprints. They used to put out hardcover books for Free Comic Book Day, and they would preview a lot of their interesting upcoming titles. Some of them, of course, were the Jim Henson related licensed books, but I would always try to find those because I'd love to get a hold of them and see what they had in store, but never could find any issues in the wild. Those were some of the hardest Free Comic Book Day books to find. And
it didn't help that they were going out of business.
There was that too. But this is before that. This is before when they were actually putting out some really good Henson stuff. And most of the books that they had previewed or that were part of the Free Comic Book Day issue, which I could never find, I then went on and purchased the whole series. So like there's something where it's like I was looking for that free comic book day book so I could actually read some of the preview books or preview series. Never found it. Still went and got the series anyway.
Yeah.
So,
And just in terms of formatting, the wasn't always locked to this format. And this was a book I skipped, Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
Amazing Friends.
Yeah, I skipped that one.
I usually get that every year. They've had that a couple of years now.
But it's not always locked to the regular comic book format. Archie in the past has been distributing digests.
Right.
Comic Book Day. There was very early on, there was one publisher that had manga volumes for some of their stuff. Rebellion, when they did offer stuff for free comic book day, they usually would stick to the magazine format, like their books. So wasn't always just the comic format. All right, enough about free comic book day. We're almost an hour in. All right, so talk about some book that you actually purchased here, Steve.
Well, I'm going to throw out my first book, and it's going to be a DC book because I've been reading a lot of DC. I have barely read any Marvel books in I don't know how many months now, sadly. So if we're going to go with the big two,
I had 5 Marvel books in my last box.
Yes.
5. One was Marvel Previews, another Silver Surfer facsimile, the latest issue of Wolverine because I just love Wolverine and Herc stories, and 2 issues of Captain America. That's really sad.
Yeah.
There should be more.
I was surprised that many, and it was just because you got a double ship of the Captain Americas.
America, yeah.
And see, Captain America was a book that you've talked about on here before and you've liked. Wolverine is a book that I've talked about on here before and I like and I still read. But for everything else, I've dropped all my other X books. I was reading the Runaways, the most recent Runaways, and I haven't picked up the last issue. So, but yeah, that's about it. That's it.
Like up until a little while ago, they had a very quiet cancellation for the most recent Spider-Gwen book.
Yeah.
Just,
oh well,
it's not good,
but
it's not a pleasant circumstance.
It isn't, but the as you call them, the distinguished competition has been putting out some great bangers, and I've been very happy with all the books that I've picked up from them. So I will continue to pick those up until they start getting boring, which so far I have not found anything recently that has been gravitating from the top of my pile to bottom. And that goes for the new Next Level initiative that they're doing for the main universe titles. And one of the more recent ones, I talked about Fury of the Firestorm last week. This week, I'm talking about the newest release, Zatanna #1. And I have been enjoying Zatanna books. There was a Black Label Zatanna series that came out, I want to say maybe 2 years ago now. And then last year, there was a mini series for Zatanna where it was pretty fantastic. I know we talked about that on the show as well. This one essentially picks up after that. And let me go ahead and share my screen. I've got some more pictures, some images.
It's important to note that this is the same creator.
Yes, exactly. Jamal Campbell. So what I've there we go. What this book right here, like I said, it takes place right after the last miniseries, and you're right off the bat given the new state of affairs for Zatanna in the DC universe. She is known as the Prime Magus, which I guess kind of like a Sorcerer Supreme figure. She is basically the keeper of magic in all of the realms of the DC universe. So in the normal, Earth Prime realm, and then also some of the connected fairy realms and other realms with magic. And it's interesting because this references, previous magic crossovers and storylines that were in Justice League Dark, and also in her last book. So you do see some of these figures sort of make an appearance because they're all related to the overall control of magic. And you see sort of in the intro image here, which I absolutely love, this beautiful splash page. The style that Jamal is going for and continuing here is very, what would you call it? It's sort of like a 1920s, not Art Deco. What is that
Yeah,
called?
but it is very much like poster art, I would say, from the
Yeah,
20s and 30s. I imagine that there is a name for it, but
yeah, absolutely.
it is a very distinctive European style,
It's definitely one of those,
European influence style. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess a little Art Deco, but it's beautiful. It's fluid. It's curved and rounded. Just a lot of really gorgeous colors, gold, borders on things. Just really neat. And through this opening splash page, he basically tells the story of what's been happening up to this point. Why Zatanna is what she is now as the prime magus, and what her responsibilities are. And through sort of these little images, you see glimpses of these strange creatures that have what looks like, either a flesh ball or a closed rose head kind of thing. And this ends up being the creature that she chases and tries to fight throughout this issue. And it's basically as a parasite, a magical parasite that has been attacking not just anybody, but singers throughout the magical realms. So anybody who has the gift of song is being attacked by this parasite, and the parasite takes over their body and is singing scales. That's basically the only way it communicates. It causes disaster. It murders things. It's terrible and terrifying. But she is the one who needs to save the day. And so here she is in this, in the realm where she kind of takes control of trying to capture this creature that's taken over a poor victim. And occasionally you will have these sort of asides from previous magical figures that we've seen and explored in recent DC magic-based books, whether it's a Zatanna book, Justice League Dark, etc. So you see the laughing upside down man. I can't remember the exact name for it, but he was a sort of a villain, but also apparently very critical and crucial to magic cohesion. You see Hecate. You see, I believe that's is that Ibis or Nubis? I can't remember that character's name, but all very important characters for the realms of magic and that we've seen recently. She tries to reach the parasite within the mind of the victim and see some really interesting things there, and is able to defeat her. But who's been following her through this realm? She's actually in the fairy realm at this point, but there is a Blackhawk helicopter and snipers that have been following her and kind of giving her room to work her magic, so to speak. And it turns out it's the DEO. The DEO has commissioned an occult division to essentially possibly help out Zatanna or work with Zatanna, or maybe they're just going to be complicating and throwing a wrench into things. Because obviously, when you've got a government organization, they want to be at the center of everything here and know more what's going on, be able to control the narrative, whatever they can try to do. So she works or is introduced to Special Agent Redacted, who kind of is a possessing creature that works on behalf of Mr. Bones at the DEO. So we'll see how this parasite, what it means. She's captured at the end, but it's not the only parasite that's infecting the realms and is threatening people and the safety of of magic and regular folks. But also we'll see how the DEO how they're involved, and I think they are probably involved in ways that might be at the heart of what is causing all of these magical creatures and magical forces to go crazy. So we'll see. But it's really it's fantastic. It's both written and drawn by Jamal Campbell. And let's see, I think the colors, if I can recall, I believe he does the colors as well. Let me double check here. Usually I have it off the top, but yep. He also does the colors. The letterer here is Ariana Mayer, but excellent. I mean, this is I would say almost a one-person job. So Jamal Campbell did gorgeous work with both the art and keeping the story fun and snappy. So really excited to continue with this. And I think this is, let's see, the third. Is this the third Next Level book that we've talked about? Because we talked about Batwoman.
And
we talked about Fury Firestorm.
Fury Firestorm. So this is the third.
Yeah. So far, it's like, 3 hits. So Zatanna, Next Level's latest series, number 1.
Okay. I read it. I wasn't as enamored as you obviously were from that. I thought there were some pacing issues where it would like go a little slow and then just like was like fast as hell. And then so I think that maybe something that might not be as noticeable if it was collected in a trade or once you have the other issues there. He obviously has an exquisite love for the character. He knows his character inside and out. And not just from a visual standpoint. The dialogue shows, he loves this girl.
Yeah. Well, and I think I actually get the pacing issues. I totally saw that as well. I think part of it was trying to make the story essentially, or at least this part of the story, make it a one issue tale, so we could get the introduction of where Zatanna is now, what this parasite is doing, and then defeat the parasite, just to make sure to kind of tie this together in one issue. But of course, the story is going to be continuing. We're going to see a lot more of it. So I think he, just trying to put as much into the first issue as he could to keep. Keep
the elfin singer, I kept wanting to call her Viagra instead of Viara.
Yeah,
that was a little weird. My favorite moment in the book was when the mouth of the parasite broke off and started chasing Zatanna. I thought that was hysterical. But I also like where this is leading, because she is mentioning that magic is changing. And look at the situation we're in right now. The Justice League, basically oversees the Earth. The Legion of Superheroes oversees the future. What does magic have at this time period? And really nothing. So the introduction of the DEO and the question of jurisdiction, I thought was really clever when they got into that discussion. But also they set up that she's kind of going on a tour of magic for the remainder of the series. And I love stories like that. I love when there's a journey where there's an itinerant edge to the storytelling. So though I wasn't as enamored of the first issue as you were, I'm still very excited for the series. So I hope that's a fair statement.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. My book is also DC. This is, you got to talk about what you like, babies. And this was a long time coming.
I'd say, yeah.
Number 1.
A long wait.
It says 88 with the trade dress here, but this was originally scheduled for late 1989 to be published, pre-Vertigo. And DC got cold feet. Reading the story, I understand, and they didn't have an image of this online, so this may be there may be some kind of embargo on it. But what really set the powers that be at Warner's off was the cover that was intended for this issue. And Steve, if you can just put the camera back on me for 1 second here, because I do want to show this. So this was the original intended cover. Yeah. So what's happening in Swamp Thing 89 number 1, or as was intended, Swamp Thing 88? Background story: Rick Veitch was in the midst of a 2+ year run on the character. Really carried the torch of the gothic elements that Alan Moore introduced, and proved a very worthy successor. Originally he was an artist on the book, and then started writing, and as I said, succeeded Alan Moore on the book, and he was wrapping his tenure up. So he was initially supposed to leave the book with issue 91. So there were 4 issues that were written, drawn. They were not colored, and inked, lettered. And the next step would have been to go through the coloring process. What happens here, and as you may have gotten the suggestion from the image I showed, Swamp Thing meets Jesus of Nazareth in this story. As we are at the beginning of the story, Swamp Thing is going through one of his journeys, trying to, where he's in the intemporal state, usually, that's when he like starts hanging out in the green, goes on those, these journeys through time and space. And where does it land him? Right before the crucifixion. So we are going through in the initial series, in the initial story, the first story where he plants himself in biblical times, and we are treated to the DC universe of that time. This was the most amazing thing. We have Belial, who is the father of Etrigan the demon, and we also have the Golden Gladiator, which was a character that was introduced in the late 1950s in The Brave and the Bold, of adventure series that took place during the time of the Roman Empire. So as you can see here, they're breaking bread at the Last Supper. We're right before the crucifixion. The Philistines are, making those moves to make sure that the Roman gentry are going to arrest Jesus Christ and ultimately crucify him. Which we do get to in the story, but there is some lead up. Marcus Aurelius, who is the Golden Gladiator, is begging Mary Magdalene, and she is pleading with him, to just, when you get the orders, let Jesus of Nazareth go. Let the Christ go. Just look the other way because he's doing so much good. And we basically go through the story with that little bit of a twist of this being the DC universe. Belial possesses Marcus Aurelius to kind of expedite the matters here. There's some weird shit here with a different set of 3 kings that have pulled their eyes out in honor of Belial. And Belial is also as is the lore of the demons in the DC universe. He is a rhyming demon. So you have Marcus Aurelius, when he does get possessed, pull that stuff, which is very Etrigan. You had to love it. I just love that this is firmly set in the DC universe, and that Christ is part of the continuity. And as we go through this, and Swampy, I think what did we call this episode? Swampy Jesus or something?
Yeah.
He's there when this happens. But in the last page, we find out that Swamp Thing may actually have a role in the resurrection. And this was really well done. And it was also one of those stories. I always go back to the Last Temptation of Christ. I never understood the uproar. I mean, I did understand the uproar, but it's one of those things, like, if you actually watch the film, it's one of the most pro-Christian messages you can imagine. And we have here where Swampy's looking at him, right before he's taken prisoner. And is this the last page that I provided for you, Steve? It is the last page.
Yeah, it's the last
Okay.
page.
So it was one of those things where if I was reading this and there's this like hotbed of controversy, once you put it down, you'd be like, oh boy, some of these people who are complaining should really read this. you know um and the other thing that's just really novel about this is the trade dress. You have ads from late 1989 in the book. The subscription, you have Batman Year 3, art of Walt Simonson, all stuff that would have been out and would have been part of this book if this had come out as Swamp Thing 88. Again, Rick Veitch is the writer. The artists are Michael Zulli and Vince Locke. Sadly, Michael Zulli passed away in 2024. And Trish Mullivill is the colorist for this, and these are all effectively new colors. If they had, I imagine they had probably had colored versions, but I think that was the one art element I think you kind of had to have updated for, I would say, mass interest. And for a story that was shelved for so long, God, this feels so vibrant. And when this was announced as part of DC's Vertigo relaunch, it's bannered here as DC Black Label. I think because I think the decision was made later to put this out as Black Label instead of Vertigo because of how surprisingly DC Universe this was, which some of the best Swamp Thing stories under Alan Moore were. And plus, you get swampy with the lamb. But don't let the dogma scare you off. Please don't let the dogma scare you off. If you're a devout Christian, there's a lot here. If you're a skeptic or agnostic lean atheist, there's a lot here. It's a very well-tailored story.
Yeah. Well, it surprises me too, in a good way, that they were able to keep the experience of reading it the same as if it had come out in the late 80s. And here, I mean, we're 40 years later. I still look fondly on the style, the format, how a comic, especially like one of the mature comics that went on to become Vertigo, how they read in the late 80s and early 90s. There was a very distinct way. Like it felt like a premium book, it looked like a premium book, and you still had that, hey, I'm still reading DC because here's some DC ads, here's some other stuff related to it. But yeah, there's just something about reading, because I at that time I was reading The Spectre, I was reading Sandman, the Silver Scarab, I think was, the Scarab, I think was one of them. Kind of a spinoff of Sandman Mystery Theater, things like that were just kind of staples of early Vertigo. It's just a certain way of how they felt. And it is kind of cool. But I do agree with you with the colors, because I think the colors were maybe a weakness if you go back and you look at that original book. Like if you look at old Hellblazer, sometimes the colors are a little wonky.
Yeah, it was also a situation where it was constantly changing the paper stock,
right?
Because there was it was Mando, and Mando would be great if you got an early copy, but if you got a later copy, there was so much bleeding in it, and then it effectively was newsprint, and then new format, and then back to it was a roller coaster in terms of paper stock. And I do think that whether it was through necessity or specifically by design to anchor this in somewhat of a current situation. Trish Mulliville's colors are fantastic in this too. So
yeah, from the images that we just saw on here, but that you had sent me,
my mind is blown that you don't have this. My mind is blown that you don't.
I looked for it when I got to the store. I did not have it pulled, and I should have had it pulled.
How was this not pre-ordered?
Oh, I haven't pre-ordered anything or touched anything from DCBS for a long time. So
Really?
I was expecting to see it on the shelf,
Okay.
and nope, it was gone. So
All right.
whoops. I'll find it somewhere else. I'm
Yeah.
sure. But
I mean,
yeah,
I
don't
also
get me
wouldn't
wrong.
be shocked because of the sales that there isn't a second printing.
Yeah,
this.
of course.
Yeah.
So, but
We
yeah.
get those other issues. This is right up your street. I'm very disappointed in you.
Well, again, like I said, I haven't been ordering anything from DCBS. I think the only things that I have still left unshipped are a graphic novel that I've been waiting for months, a couple DC compacts that were on sale for 50% off, and my free comic book day books that have not been added to my next shipped yet. So should be the last one. But I cut back. I cut back a lot, and DCBS was one of the things I cut back on. So, but yeah. So, in any case, I am going to move on to an indie book. And this was an indie book that I have seen bandied about. I've, heard the title, seen it every so often, and then also it's been recently kickstarted. We actually, I think, had 2 Kickstarters this year for this particular title, and it has been published for store sales for the new series by Midnight Factory, which I think is part of Massive's line of books. But this is Murder Hobo #1, and written by Joseph Schmalke, who is the creator, and also drawn by Ryan G. Brown. Love Ryan, love his stuff, and it was good to see him on this. But Murder Hobo originally came out in 2020, and it was sort of a kind of a jokey book. I believe Scout put it out at the time, and a murder hobo, just for people who don't know, a murder hobo is a character in tabletop gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, or World of Warcraft. Basically, anybody who kind of just wanders around as an absolute mess of a character, just killing, being chaotic, grabbing as much loot as possible, and then running off. So picture a Leroy Jenkins or worse, just out for themselves, out to make a mess of things, and just throw chaos into a latest tabletop game that you're playing. And that's kind of what these books are about. Schmalke's written several different characters that are all essentially murder hobos. They just go from adventure to adventure, slaughtering and making a mess of things, and then kind of go back to the inn to drink themselves stupid and have sex with anything that moves. So really great fun. But let me see if I can pull up some imagery here. So for those of you watching, you can actually take a look at what I am reading. So again, this is one of the covers that came out. This is one of the standard retail covers. And it just spotlights a bunch of the main characters. These characters have banded together to form their own guild or their own sort of party, and their whole purpose is to adventure on behalf of somebody. Hire us, and we will solve your problems, destroy your demon infestation, go get your gold back, and slaughter the dragon, whatever. But of course, they're going to do it in their own chaotic, ridiculous style. This also, I love this cover. I think it's just a really fun image. And of course, the kind of the main murder hobo character that we see featured a lot is the Roddy the Rotten, who is kind of a washed up, old, crusty, very literally crusty adventurer, who just makes a mess of things and makes a mess of his own life. This group of characters is hilarious. You have Roddy the Rotten. You've got Venus, who is sort of a fire half demon. You've got Spectra Liaison, who's an ice witch. Burgle, who's sort of a fishman and a thief character. Blarn, who's an orc barbarian. And of course, Lord Froth, who's their unofficial leader. And he is a Frothmancer. Essentially just, acid froth. I'm not really sure. I don't really know what he does. It doesn't really matter. He's just a mess. And through the course of the book, you're introduced to all the characters. They actually are seeing a performance, kind of like an advertisement, a big commercial for what they do, starring people who are dressed just like them. And what do they do with them? Of course, they get drunk and they have sex with them, because why not have sex with the characters that look just like your party members and or yourself? And what happens afterwards? They all get pink eye. And so they are dealing with the heartbreak of pink eye when they're asked to go on their first adventure together as a group, to clear a really high class inn of a haunting of some kind of, poltergeist that's taken over. And what do? Absolutely make a mess of things. There's no surprises here. It is funny. It is crude. It is gross. Just all sorts of wildness. Ryan Brown's art here is filled with as much pus and crust as you can think of. It's a joy because it's so gross and silly. And of course, because they make a mess of that, poltergeist capture / destruction, who should come in but a complete unknown character, a sort of paladin, half dark elf named Anus Blazak, who saves the day and is now apparently their competition. So he's kind of a very sort of Driz Do'Urden coded character here, who happens to be, an adventurer out to save the world. Anybody who needs them, go ahead and hire them. But obviously the murder hobo gang themselves are like, this is not going to stand. We got to do something and kill this competitor here. But it is a ridiculous, crazy, wacky book. If you like RPGs, if you like tabletop gaming, if you like online RPGs, MMORPGs, you've played with these characters before. You've played with these types of players before. Maybe you are this type of player who's just an absolute chaos demon. I think Chaotic Neutral is one of the names of a previous Murder Hobo miniseries. You might see some of yourself in these disgusting, horrible heroes, for lack of a better word. Heroes with quotation marks. But Schmalke here, Joseph Schmalke, and Ryan Brown have created really gross magic. And I can't wait to be in for the long haul on this one. So Murder Hobo, which is available from Midnight Factory. This is actually, if you were part of the Kickstarter, they did kickstart this first issue. And also, if you're interested in seeing some of the previous stories, they have been collected. And Massive is putting them out. I believe it is called the Chaotic Collection, the Murder Hobo Chaotic Collection, if you wanted to see them all the previous stories collected together. So, recommend it for those of you who don't mind a little grit, grime, and just sheer grossness in their fantasy adventuring comics.
Okay. I have to say, we were joking at the beginning of the show about how it's macabre,
The macabre.
We're 4 for 4 in books with a horror or magic tinge to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the book I'm talking about right now is one that normally would be a Steve book, I think. And
yeah.
Were you aware of this book?
No. When you let me know that you had read this, I was like, wait, how did I not know about this?
Okay. That makes me kind of feel good. In a sense that I discovered something. And this was sort of a free comic book day pickup because this was on the stands, and this cover just called out to me. So this is Nectar #1 from Vault Comics, and let me give you the rundown of the creative team. It's written by Jeremy Robinson. The layouts are by Francesco Francini with inks by Anna Paula Martello. Colors are by Steve Cannon, and the lettering is by Jim Campbell and World Design. And this book, again, a very striking cover of butterflies, but with something that usually is associated with beauty, you can feel there, whether it's the moonlight or the weird poses where they're around what appears to be the alpha of the butterflies. This is some creepy. So I said, let me get that. Okay. Let's try this. So where are we in Nectar number one? Well, in Nectar number one, we're in 1937 Massachusetts. And after a first few pages set in Salem, Massachusetts, we then go on to Misery Island, which is just off the coast near Salem. And boy, what a horror movie name for an island there, Misery Island. Steve, if you can go to the next image, next two images actually. So we see here that butterflies are still around. We're in the late fall at this point, and the butterflies have not flown south for the winter. They have not done their migration here. Um, and there's a strange situation going on in some of the areas around Salem that there are some people who have been alleged to die from something called the dancing plague. Right before individuals die, they experience elation and are often running and dancing and feeling a euphoria. There's mentions that they can't stop this, though they want to, and then they expire. So there have been a few cases with this, and nothing that's really hit Misery Island yet. Misery Island is the kind of locale that people go to in the summer, and then, because of the harsh weather conditions, tend to migrate to bigger cities for the winter time. Um, Not that different from snowbirds, let's face it, in the modern day. And the doctor on Misery Island is Dr. Amos Hill. And he's seeing patients and he's commenting, that he's surprised that there's more people staying around this year than are actually migrating, just like the butterflies. There are some other characters that inhabit Misery Island. There's two teenagers, and they both have a bit of a crush on Dr. Amos Hill. Dr. Amos Hill is also a butterfly collector, and he is struck by the butterflies that are still around, seem to have a luminescence about them and a sense of shimmer to when they flap their wings. And he's taken aback by this, but again, it's the beginning of off season, and though there are some inhabitants that are staying around, there's still some that are leaving, and that's kind of the tone in the community right now. Steve, if you can go over to the next, if you can go over to the next page, I would appreciate it to just show you there. And yep, so we have the two girls here. One is Emily, and the other is Prudence the brunette. Emily is the blonde character, and surprisingly, Emily gets bit by one of these very strange butterflies. So she is brought to the doctor to make sure everything is fine and treated, bandaged, sterilized, left for home. And very quickly she begins dancing and she can't stop. And this also coincides with what they think are clouds. And it turns out it's not clouds, it's a swarm of butterflies. And that's where we end the issue. Very, very Edgar Allan Poe. Very, very Edgar Allan Poe. And I have to say, between the art and this almost slumbering storytelling, it really transported me. It really did. And I'm locked. I have no idea where this is going to go, but I know it's not going. Some of the places are not going to be good. So that's Nectar number one by Vault, coming out from Vault Comics, again by Jeremy Robinson, with a host of artistic people aiding him and it's also bannered as a Breakneck Comics production. I don't know if there have been other Breakneck titles.
I don't recall any.
Yeah.
Who's putting it out? Which other imprint? Is it Breakneck under somebody, or is it
Vault?
Vault? Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. But if you want like creepy gothic, go to this.
We like our creepy gothic here.
Yeah. It's so weird. I feel like these are books that you should have been spotlighting. It's so weird.
I mean, normally, you know, with this, I mean, DC had a bunch of good titles the past month. I mean, they're every month. I mean, I could point at any absolute book really and just say this was so much fun to read. So, getting to read some of the Next Level recently, that's been fun. And
and also, I'm also coming off of watching every episode of Dark Shadows, and with that being set in the fictional city of Collinsworth, Maine, it was kind of like a return visit in a sense. I think I'm more susceptible to stories in the 1800s in New England than I was previously. Let's put it that way.
Interesting.
And from a previous conversation, I just wish somebody had inserted in here that I saw Chaperone dancing with Goody Proctor.
Oh no. Oh, fun.
All right. Well, that's an episode in. It's just the two of us tonight. I miss our Caleb.
Yep.
But I think, given the books that we talked about, this was an okay episode for him to miss.
Well, also we had so many of the free comic book day books to go over, so I think that kind of took all of his time. So oh man,
but it's interesting because I wasn't thinking of like the thematic link between the four books we talked about until we got into it.
Yeah,
is weird because they're all, though there is a horror theme to all of them, or maybe Zatanna's a little more fantasy based.
Maybe, but still, I mean, what's happening is horrific.
Very different in their approaches and execution.
Absolutely, and there was one thing I didn't mention about Zatanna, because again, you have these cameos of magical beings. There was a panel where we see Night Nurse. And Night Nurse is of course associated with a lot of DC horror, a lot of times with Constantine, with Hellblazer, but she made a very brief appearance in this one too.
Night Nurse?
Yeah, is it Night Nurse, or what is her?
I don't think that's the character's name. I think Night Nurse is Marvel.
What is she is a nurse, Nightmare Nurse maybe?
And something like that, yeah.
Nightmare Nurse. I think that might be it. Yeah. Because she usually shows up with is it Nightmare Nurse? Yes.
The Nightmare Nurse. Yeah.
Demonic
healer and former housekeeper.
Yes.
Named Asa.
Nightmare Nurse. But yeah, she's frequently, spotlighted in more horror oriented books. So yeah, I guess this is, Zatanna it kind of plays with that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's start wrapping this episode up. And one of our stops towards the end is where we show off our Geek Gets, things that are genre oriented that we picked up, which, may stray outside of comic books sometimes, very often will. Again, with only 8 days, I didn't have a lot of time to get new stuff, and I think you're in the same boat. And I have a feeling some of our Geek Gets are the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I will say yes. So one of the things that Bill and I both love are, of course, kids' meal toys, especially when they are tying into DC or to Marvel, or in this case, Star Wars. There is a new Star Wars movie coming out, Matt and Mandalorian and Grogu, in, I believe, on the 22nd. So it's coming out very soon, next couple of weeks. But Burger King is doing a promotion right now. So the kids' meals have little toys, and they have adult meals that come with cups. Or in my case, I got screwed out of a couple cups because they didn't give them to me when I ordered a few adult meals, but I did get one. So I did have one Star Wars Mandalorian and Grogu cup. This is it's a sort of like a bronze color with scenes from the movie, characters from the movie, which is very cool. But I like the shininess of it. They're pretty neat, and they come in. I think there's 4 to 6 versions of this, different colors. And then I also did get one of the kids meal toys, which is just sort of like a display. Sort of mini statue kind of thing, and it's really cool. They have, I think, again 4 or 6 of these different ones. So really fun. I do recommend it. I'm sure supplies are not going to last very long, so if you have a chance, go ahead and pick that up. If you are a fast food person, or if you're not a fast food person, pick one up anyway, and feed the nuggets to your dog or whatever. But yeah, those are my Geek Gets from the past couple of days.
Okay, I took a picture of the. Apparently, there's also Grogu's blue cookie shake.
Yes, they're themed food, and sometimes even the packaging is themed. So, like if you get the garlic chicken fries, it comes in a box where you can pop out Grogu's ears. It looks cute. The barbecue Whopper comes in a box that's shaped that has like the image of the Mandalorian's helmet, and then. There's
something called a bounty bundle.
Yeah,
it's like over $20 with a lot of food there.
Yeah, but that comes with all the different.
So yeah, I've only gone the kids meal routes so far, and I got Stormtrooper and whatever trooper this guy is for the toys,
and you get the crown. That's I forgot to bring my crown upstairs, but yeah, they have the Mandalorian.
I'm just gonna keep this crown on. No, I'm not. I look like an idiot. All right.
I was gonna say that's the executive producer crown. You can't take it off.
Yeah. So that's what I got as well. The only thing I wanted to point out, and like something that normally would be Geek Get, is so aligned with my Wolf of the Week that I'll just talk about it then. But as part of the free comic book day sales, packages at one store, Main Street Comics in Milltown, New Jersey, I was able to supplement my Black Hawk collection with 2 more pre-DC quality issues from the mid-1950s. So
awesome.
Geeky Getty. All right. So we're at our final stop, and our final stop of an episode of the Comic Book Bears is something we call the Woofs of the Week. In the bear community, if you find a fellow attractive, you woof at him, and we do something very similar where we woof at something which may be comic book or comic book related, but may also be a TV program or a film or a charitable initiative, anything under the sun that we think you, fair listener or viewer, may be interested in sampling. I'll start as I always do with Steve. Steve, what is your Woof of the Week?
Well, my Wolf of the Week is a TV show. Shock to no one. Me and my TV shows. But this one is a new Apple TV series that just started last week. It is called Widow's Bay, starring Matthew Rhys as the mayor of Widow's Bay. And essentially, it is like a combination Castle Rock, Welcome to Derry, Midnight Mass type of series where it takes place in this cursed island town where weird, crazy things happen. There's secrets buried underground, but also some supernatural connection and some horrific past with comedy. So it's, Ryan Murphy is not involved, but it actually has a good, I'd say a good mix of comedy and horror together, and a lot of mystery. So either way, if that's what you're into, if you're into comedy, if you're into sort of horrific set pieces, or if you're just into general mysteries and interesting character dramas, Widow's Bay hopefully will scratch that itch. It's pretty interesting. The first 3 episodes are out at this point. And it's definitely a fun watch. Matthew Rhys, you kind of feel sorry for him because he means well as the mayor. He just wants to bring tourism to town, but it's hard to do when you've got a killer fog that's stealing people's souls, and a haunted inn where he's attacked by the ghost of an evil clown killer. So these things happen. It's kind of hard to be a mayor and promote your place when it could be killing any tourists that come to the island. So, but it's fun. Check it out on Apple TV. Widow's Bay.
All right, cool. For my Wolf of the Week, it goes out to a band over this past weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday of this past weekend, that did see the first reunion shows by the group Sugar. Sugar was the post-Husker Du trio that was led by Bob Mould. They were together from, I think, 91 to very early 1995. And went to the second show on May 3rd at Webster Hall in New York City. It used to be known as the Ritz. It's been Webster Hall for a while, but a long and storied history as a rock venue there. I think I had some additional pictures here, one before the band took the stage, and then the band on stage, the trio of Bob, Dave, and Malcolm. Fantastic show. They're going to be touring in Europe through the summer and then back in the States through the fall. I have plenty of friends of the show that are going to see that, and I may end up going to the Brooklyn show again. It was a fantastic show, and this should have been a Geek Get, but it only made sense to talk about this here. In conjunction with their reunion, they did record 2 new songs. House of Dead Memories came with the show announcements in October of last year. And then this past January, they provided a second new track called Long Live Love. And as an exclusive at the shows, you could get a vinyl single with the 2 tracks. This is the only physical version of those 2 songs out right now. So, Sugar.
Sugar.
Oh, come on, Sugar.
Sugar.
Come on, Sugar.
Honey,
on,
honey.
Give me a little bit of sugar. Oh, and this is I have to say a geekette. My friend Tom, my concert husband, straight concert husband, got me a Misfits shirt, but not Danzig. It's Yukon Cornelius.
Oh yeah. I also do have a shirt that I picked up at the Halfway to Halloween Con. It is Lake Vibes. I just love the design.
We collectively have 2 awesome shirts. Get your shirt in the shop so we can get a snip of this for the people.
Lake Vibes.
For the people. All right, cool.
For the people.
For the peeps. For our peeps. For our homies. All right, brother, this got to stop because it's going to get embarrassing. So
too late, we're loopy.
Thank you for joining us. Again, we are the Comic Book Bears podcast. You can find us on most social media as Comic Book Bears. You can find us on Facebook as Comic Book Bears Podcast. If you want to listen to us, you can do so through Apple Podcasts, through Spotify, and in many of the other podcasting platforms. If you've joined us through one of the live streams tonight, thank you. If you are watching this later on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you want to write to us, please do so by sending an email to comicbookbears@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Billy Z.
I'm Steve Morey.
If you're listening to the audio version, you're going to hear a woof and an explosion. We'll be back in about 2 weeks. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Woof. Boo.